Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Well, it's another exciting edition of Treasure Talk.
Yes, it is. This could be a good one tonight, as they all are, but this one will be really good.
Yes. It's going to be very good. Jocelyn says it's going to be really good because we have an excellent guest, and I wanted to show everybody my shirt.
Is there anything on the back?
Probably another ship.
Well, that's always good. You know what we need to do? We probably need to get one of those for Captain Fizz as a gift.
Yeah, I think he probably's got them because every time I've seen him wear shirts, he wears a shirt very similar.
Yeah, he does. But he probably no, I'm not even going there.
Yeah, he probably wants the ones with the bottles of rum on it too.
Well, probably, yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway, I guess we better get started because we've got a lot of stuff to cover tonight for sure.
Yes, we do.
And I just want to let folks know I'm in here tomorrow. I'm in here Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And then, of course, the week you're over in St. Pete, I'm going to shut the shop down that week.
Yeah, you need a vacation from everything. People will understand. They can still order online. And if nothing else, Big Poppy can slide in there of an evening, evening, and get stuff shipped out. Big Poppy is very capable.
Yes, he'll be in there on Saturday anyway. So it really, we're only closed Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Friday of that week. And that's the 10th, isn't it, or 11th of September?
11th is a Monday.
Okay.
That's the day I'm coming down there. I'll be there the 11th. And then Tuesday's the 12th, 13th, and the 15th you'll be closed.
Yeah, so I'm giving everybody fair warning. If they want to get their new Legend Pro Pack, or their 8 or 900, their Manticore, we got them all in stock. Just get them the week before.
And you've got Legends. You've got the new
Simplex
Ultras.
We've got them in stock.
And you've got Deuses.
Oh, Deus too. We got all those.
Yeah, you got all the coils and accessories.
Yes, we do.
And you also have in stock the Treasure Talk Pro Sifter Titanium.
Yes, we do. And we've got the Motley scoops too.
Yep. Good stuff. Real good stuff.
Yes. Yes. My wife is just saying, should you be yakking? Don't you have a guest tonight? Yes, we do. We have an excellent guest. So she's trying to cut down on my yakking. But let me do the...
I got a question for you.
Go right ahead.
Some friends of mine from Ohio are coming down to hunt.
Are they?
Probably going to be that a couple of days, the week that we're in St. Pete. They have beehives. Would you and Jocelyn like some honey?
I always like honey.
How much do you want?
Who has the beehive?
Sam Truckley.
It just Sam is a young lady, I believe.
Yes, and her husband is coming with her.
And her husband.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want a jar of honey?
How many does she have to bring Jeff? How many pounds does Jeff need? He needs a lot to make him sweet.
That's right. And just for that, no honey for you.
Yeah, I love honey.
All right, Sam, I'll get up with you, Sam.
Yeah, that's cool. Anyway, now I lost my train of thought. Oh,
all right, it left the station.
Yes, it did. And I did want to mention that if you're a AT Pro user, I have some Nell coils that would fit your detector. If you would like to do a Nell coil, we've got them an excellent price because I'm trying to move those out. So just holler at me if you have an AT Pro and you want a Nell coil.
Okay, so I better cover before we go into our housekeeping. As for the giveaway tonight, I've had a number of people contact me saying the comments on YouTube are not showing up. I am aware of that. I am trying to work with YouTube to get it fixed. But YouTube is semi non-responsive as per usual. So I'm trying to get that done. So don't worry, we're still going to do our giveaway tonight. But what I've done is I've gone back to the last 3 shows and I've used all those names to encompass everybody. So I have the name drawn for the giveaway tonight. That's how I had to do it. So it's still random as it can be, but that's just the way I had to do it. So
easy enough.
On it.
And of course, today's show is brought to you by your friends at Myers Metal Detectors. We sell fun and adventure. And the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed here by the Treasure Talk guest or member belong solely to the guest or member and not necessarily to Phil Myers, Jocelyn Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, or Jeff Monin. And that was a lot. But the most important thing is the purpose of Treasure Talk is to promote the hobby of metal detecting and treasure hunting in all forms and to educate our members in a fun, informative manner.
And I think we do that. We're definitely going to do that tonight.
Yeah, Mark Bishop likes my shirt. Does it make me look fat?
No.
Does this shirt make me look fat? I'm glad Joe Big Poppy isn't on there.
He's on here.
Oh, he's probably.
He just hadn't had a chance to comment yet.
Yes, he hasn't.
He's on here. He will comment. I have no doubt in my mind.
For sure.
And just for that, no sausage for you.
Too funny, Jeff.
I know.
So we've got an excellent guest lined up because I saw her website and all the interviews she's done with different people in the detecting. Sam says my shirt looks great. Yes. Thank you, Sam.
By the way, did she get up with you about headphones for her Equinox?
Yes, they're going. They're shipped.
Cool beans.
It makes me look invisible. Joe says my shirt makes me look invisible.
Yeah, right. Okay, Big Poppy. No sausage for you. But a lot of wine for me.
If everybody likes my shirt, I'll stand up.
Do your best, Vanna. Don't bend over, though.
Can you see the boat on the back?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's a ship, rather.
Yes, indeed.
All righty. I just felt like being festive tonight.
But you are indeed festive. You're kind of piratey.
Piratey.
You're kind of sparkling, yeah. Did you get a Kmart? No.
I need a bottle of rum. One of these guys filled with rum.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay, let's get on with this.
So I just saw a question Jocelyn had. Any word on the MA coils for the Manticore? Not yet. As soon as I find out some info, I'll post that on Facebook and on the Treasure Talk page.
And in October, we will have Coil Tech. And there's going to be some really good information coming for all you Manticorists at that time.
Awesome.
So I think it's time we do our thing, don't you?
Yes, it is. For sure.
Okay. For all your viewing pleasure, many of you have seen this young lady before. If you haven't, you are in for a very rare treat tonight. One of the most educated people on this hobby that I've ever met. Very articulate, very straightforward, and had just a killer website and everything she does for focus speed. As you notice, the name of the show tonight is Let's Focus on Focus Speed. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to find out all about focus speed and our guest and her vision for this and where she wants it to go. So let's bring on our guest, the creator of Focus Speed, Miss Joanna.
Hello, nice to
Hello
meet you.
there.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, good.
Okay, Phil, I'll just be popping these up every once in a while, just to, for Phil's viewing pleasure.
Oh yeah, everybody loves my shirt. Yes, they do.
Adele loves your shirt.
Thank you, Adele. Thank you. So, Joanna, why don't you give the folks a real quick history of Focus Speed and tell us a little bit about it.
So I started Focus Speed about 3 years ago. I personally enjoy the written word. For instance, when I go to learn something about a new detector, I have a hard time with some YouTube videos to sit and pause and rewind, pause and rewind. So I wanted something more in the written word, and often I would go into the old forums, research, dig through the forums, and I felt that there needed to be a site where there was a lot of information where everything from the intermediate detectors to advanced detectors could enjoy reading. And so after some thinking, I first decided to just put it up to archive some old articles I wrote on metal detecting. But I started to get messages privately all over asking if I'm going to be writing still, if I'm going to be putting more out, and if I could keep going. And I thought that was pretty shocking because most of the people around me know I'm severely learning disabled. I am dyslexic, to the top degree. And writing actually these articles aren't easy for me, but I work really hard on them and, to try making educational content for the metal detectorists. And I use it to push myself into areas I thought I wouldn't in detecting, to really, to make sure the interviews I do, that I'm asking the right questions, that I'm seeing where people would get frustrated because I'm trying to push myself in there to every corner to see what people would ask. What do they want? I ask anybody who detects around me, hey, what should we write about? Why are you frustrated? What do you want to learn more about? It's not just a publication about me. I see it as a publication that is a community. It's a lot of people and a lot of minds that give me advice on what to write, who to interview, what questions, what's frustrating them. I want to even write questions where maybe even advanced detectors would be scared to ask someone, because it would open up that they might not even know. Mm-hmm. So, I dig and I dig and I dig. And I also write thought pieces. I don't know if you had a chance to write some of my thought pieces. I'll be having one coming out this month that is basically, how can the archaeology community and detectors work better together? When I recently went up to Canada to visit my family, my cousin from the Czech Republic came also, and he's a curator of a major museum. So here we're having an evening walk. And he goes, me and my colleagues, don't feel comfortable with detecting that. And, went into why. And I decided not to look at that negatively. We were having a beautiful conversation, but what as us detectors could do better. And I discussed this in the article that will be coming out. And it's not about just night hawking, discussing, okay, if the archaeologists have an issue with the detectors doing this, what can we do better for maybe archiving our finds, documenting the finds, getting them out of the ground, preserving them? Because, for them, it was interesting to hear that they'd rather keep the finds in the ground until they have to for sure pull it out, because they felt that with history, it shows that when they take out old historic artifacts earlier from the 20s and in the 40s, that they didn't do it properly. And the longer they can keep it in the ground, the better they feel they can document it and preserve it, because they'll have better technology. So that made me question, what can we as detectors, that meaning not just us detectors, of manufacturers of tools and products, what can we, even club members, club presidents, could we lean on the archaeology community to bring in maybe people to teach us to excavate better? Can we get, archaeologists to come in and teach us how to document better when we find things? So this will be an interesting thought piece that I will be publishing. But I do interviews and thought pieces, and other people write for the site as well. And I try to keep it educational.
Well, that's very, very good, because you cover a wide spectrum, I think, because like we talked a little bit before we went live about how this hobby is just bursting, and Phil can attest to that with as many new metal detectors as he sells detectors and stuff too. I mean, it's unbelievable. So there are a lot of new people out there, and you see it a lot on, because everybody wants to be on YouTube now, but you see it that they need some education in certain things. So I think it's great if you did a whole article on, if you're a newbie, here are some of the basic things, etiquette and how to dig a plug. There's a lot of things that people don't know. And of course, then you get all these people that have been detecting for 3 or 4 years that know it all. And they're going to go, But I think it's very important that we, answer these questions in the proper way for the new detectors and the young people coming up. There's a lot of young people coming up. Phil, what do you think about the young people? There's a lot of them, aren't there?
Oh yes, a lot of younger people. Not just retired. I mean, we're in Florida, so we do have a high percentage of retired folks, but there's a lot of young people getting into this hobby for sure, and I think that's due to watching all the stuff on YouTube and Facebook, all the finds, and people seeing people at the beach with metal detectors. But Joanna, you brought up the archaeologists, and that's always been an interesting relationship because they don't like metal detectors. And you also brought up the clubs, and our metal detecting club is called the West State Archaeological Society. Just for that reason, we want to. Joe's asking, but we'll get to that in a second. But that's
big size each.
For sure. But for the longest time, archaeologists didn't like us, but now I see that relationship can be changed, and we can work with them on different things. It's different here, I think, in the United States. We don't have the history like they have in Europe, where they have thousands of years of history. We might have 200-300 in my area if we're lucky. But that's an interesting relationship. So I'll be looking forward to that article for sure. So you want to grab that question now, Joe?
Yeah.
Or Jeff?
Do you see it, Joanna?
Yeah. What detector are you using, Joanna? So right now, my main two detectors is the Equinox 800 and the Legend, but I also have an AT Pro, an AT Max, an Apex. I have a Simplex Ultra that I'm working on, learning so I can write about it. I started off with the Tesoro. I love that. I think it was the best thing that I started off with the Tesoro because it taught me, how to listen versus looking at VDI numbers. So the two main ones I will use is the Legend and the Equinox. I basically use the Legend the most because it's easy for travel because of how it collapses. And I really like it. It's a great machine. I had it in the water for an entire month, twice a day, under completely submerged, no issues. I was, it was great. It was absolutely a great machine.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that Legend is an awesome detector, and it's funny how the manufacturers see what Naka did with the Legend, making it so compact, and now everybody's doing that. What Tesoro did you use?
The Mojave.
Mojave, okay.
Yeah.
I love the Tesoro product. That was the first detector brand that I started selling. So I always liked Tesoro products. The Sand Shark for a long time, and that was probably, or the Piranha, that was probably 30 years ago.
I know which one. I admit, when I looked into detecting, it took me about a year before buying a detector. I was about to venture into this hobby that I was a female, didn't even know if I'd be accepted. I, worked in Silicon Valley for years. I just moved to Orange County, and I was used to a man's world, but I didn't know how this was going to happen. How am I going to be coming into detecting? And so I quietly watched tons of YouTube videos, testing, anything I could read. And I narrowed it down to just Tesoro because I could see that a beginner could use it and an advanced person could use it. And I'm really grateful because it really taught me, a lot. And I think that's why I ended up quite good in the hobby, is that, and also getting under the wings of good mentors. I think it's super important for people to team up and team up with people who really know what they're doing, to get tips and to switch that up, not just be under one, but to learn from many.
Yes, indeed. And one thing we touched on briefly, I'll touch on again now that we are live, is with the female detectorists. As you alluded to, you felt uncomfortable about trying to get into the hobby, in a male-dominated hobby. But I have to say, what we're seeing, what I personally am seeing, and I think Phil agrees with me on this, is the ladies are quickly rising to the top, because in many, many instances, I feel that they are much better detectorists than men for certain reasons. Number one, a lot of them are much more patient. They listen more, and they take their time. And if they're going to set out a grid, they grid. They don't zigzag all around. And if they go out to a park, they're going to hunt the whole park. They're very patient. Where a lot of guys that go out there within the first 10 minutes, if they haven't made a lot of major finds, they're gone. So that's what you look at a lot of the top female detectors around the world, and they all have that in common.
I would like to say, after working, I went to high school. I went to a high school where there were only 5 women in the entire high school. Then I went to Silicon Valley, where it's very male dominated. And then I got into this hobby. And I would have to say the men have been amazing. I had no issues what I thought I might. They were warm, good, very respectable. There was one once who hit on me, and when I said, "Hey, thank you, but no thank you," he was very respectable. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was shy, but I want to say thank you to the metal detecting community and the men for, how respectful you are to the ladies in the hobby. That was, a bit of a shocker for me from where I came from. And I was I still am very impressed.
Well, there's a lot, this hobby's full of really, really great folks. In anything, there's always going to be a few, but overall, I think if you look in our chat tonight, all these people are top flight. All our membership on our Facebook group, which is well over 5,000, and all our other groups that we are, we've got a tremendous, tremendous following, and they're all almost to a T, really great people. Very tolerant of each other, always glad to lend a helping hand or to learn. So
that's what I love
about this community.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think the hobby is growing for women, because I have now a lot of women will come in with their husbands, and the husband doesn't want to metal detect, but the wife wants to. So it's so interesting, because I've been involved in metal detecting clubs for ages, and for the longest time it was all men in the club. And now you start seeing a percentage of women in the club too. So it's interesting the way the hobby is going. Now I see, Joanna, you have on your site there the different clubs. How did you get all that information in there?
Manually. That whole area, that took me a while. I have one area that lists the events that are happening. That took me at least 8 months to build. I do all the web designing myself for it. And so to try to organize it and figure it out what's going to be the best way, it's not easy sometimes. And I, test and figure it out. But that was manually looking, researching, going, in my evenings, in my spare time, and adding it. Is every club there? Probably not, but people can email me and I'll put their club in there. I don't charge clubs. So, so if there's any presidents or even members and they say, "Hey, I noticed the info's wrong," I'm totally happy to update it. And I do that often.
Yeah, because I of course plugged the 3 clubs that I'm involved in, and they were all listed in there.
Wow.
So I was just pleasantly surprised to see that in there. So that's good.
That's great.
Yeah, that helps. Now, are you involved in a club in your area?
So no, I'm not. And when I really wanted to be, but I was a new mom and there was no way I can make the club meetings how far they were away. And, I couldn't leave my child to go, metal detecting. I mean, now I do a lot, but to go to the clubs, it was in the morning. I will go to club meetings here or there when people invite me, and I'll support clubs. You'll see me in groups when someone's new and says, "Hi, I would like to find someone to detect with." I really urge them to join the clubs.
How old is your child, Joanna?
11.
Is it he or she?
It's a he. Yes.
Is he into detecting?
Yes or no? I mean, one day he's going to realize that mom wasn't the typical mom, right? Like he's just used to, I come home and I'm dirty, and he's like, did you find anything neat? Did you find it? He used to ask always, did I find any toys, right? Because I'd hand him the toys. But he goes out and detects. Some of his friends will come out and detect, as well when they're interested. And he's used to it. But I think he will only realize the difference with who mom is and that she's gone doing this, extreme exploring sometimes when he's older. But I do remember when he was more of a toddler, I can't remember when he turned to somebody on the playground and said, "Does your mom detect?" And I kind of.
Well, I think at that age, it's probably, if they're not finding, it's bored city and off to something else.
Right.
So, in a couple of years, it'll change probably. Yeah.
I have the detectors for him to play with, and I'd be very happy.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, for kids, the NACA detectors are kind of hard to beat for small children because they actually work and they're a toy. That's why I tell people all the time, don't buy one of those toys because they'll get disappointed. You got to make sure you buy them something that they can use for their age level, that they can lift it and swing it. And I've sold quite a few of the mini and midi hordes from NACA, and they're just perfect for small children. And if you have to throw a few coins out for them to like the hobby, you just got to do that if you're on the beach.
Yeah.
So I just think they make a nice detector that kids can use for sure.
Yeah.
NACA's doing some great stuff. I mean, I really like their products. I've used their Pulse Dive as my main pinpointer for years. I was very shocked with the Legend when I didn't really think I would find a detector to beat the Equinox at the time when the Legend came out. And I was just in awe when I opened the box and started looking at it and realizing how it's built, their build quality, and then playing with it, at some test sites I have. I was very impressed. Now I'm playing with the Simplex testing it. I've taken it out twice and I've put it in hands of, I have one detectorist I detect with, and he loves an old style bounty hunter. We're talking the ones close like to a Tesoro. He refuses to go to anything more complicated, but he actually fell in love with the Simplex Ultra. And we were all happy to see that, and he found a good coin spill that he never found with, of course, the bounty hunter. But, it was interesting to see somebody who's really scared of technology feel comfortable with the Simplex Ultra and wasn't intimidated at all.
Yeah, and that's also a super light detector too, because there are a lot of folks and who are retired or have different health issues, and the lighter the detector, the better the detector, in my opinion. Now it looks like, Jeff, we missed the question from the Mumbles man. He asks us every time.
Yeah.
What's the
most unusual find?
Most unusual find? Yes.
List he goes down. Most unusual,
Most unusual find is I have a branding iron from the late 1700s that even the Smithsonian has gotten involved to try dating it and understanding it. So that was an interesting find. I was with my girlfriend. She might be, here we were detecting, and I pulled this thing out of the ground and I went, I think I have a branding iron. I was almost frozen. And she turns around and goes, no. And then she looked and was so shocked to see this branding iron in the middle of Orange County, last place you would think, right? And then I had to carry it back as we were quite far away from the car in really heavy heat. And then it started a real deep dive into learning branding irons. I know more than I should about branding irons, but we went into it, a long historic lesson on it. And now I have a nice collection of ranching equipment that I have found, historic ranching equipment, but it started with the branding iron. What other interesting finds have I found? People are always shocked with the branding iron, so I'm going back to that. Military stuff I enjoy finding. I really enjoy trying to find items. They might not be historic to the East Coast or anywhere else that is older, but living in Orange County that was really built in the 70s, I enjoy finding history where people argue there is no history, and I really, go quite hard to find relics in places people argue there are no relics. And I have fun pushing that.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about your branding iron story is, do we have some feedback, Jeff?
A little bit.
I'll turn my volume down a little bit. Anyway, the history. The cool thing is researching what you find and looking into the history to see what it actually is. That's one of the neat parts of the hobby, the history. But we did have another question here, and I think Jeff's got it too. Joanna, this is from Sam Truckley. Where have you done water detecting? What states and bodies of water?
So I water detect here in Southern California, but I also just was water detecting up in Canada in freshwater lakes. So I do mostly Southern California. I've done Florida a tiny bit when I'm visiting there, but because I'm here on the West Coast, it's Southern California, around between San Diego to all the way up in LA. And then when I was in Canada, it was the Okanagan region. I was in Skaha detecting because my parents live very close to Skaha, so I could, 2-minute ride. I'm in the water detecting.
Where in Florida do you visit?
I all of a sudden I forgot. So, I'm thinking it's by Jackson. It's my father-in-law lives there, so I'm trying to remember. And this is
Jacksonville.
It's past Jacksonville. It's near Augusta, but not Augusta. So I'm trying to remember. It's near Flagler, so I'll do along Flagler.
Flagler Beach, probably St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Ponte Vedra, somewhere in that. We lost Phil. I don't know where he went.
He'll be back, maybe.
Yeah, could be right along in there. Yeah. St. Augustine, you got Jacksonville that goes down as you go south. It's Ponte Vedra Beach, and then you've got Palm Coast. You got St. Augustine.
So he's in Palm Coast. Father-in-law is in Palm Coast.
Okay,
So then Flagler is quite close to it.
Flagler Beach is north of Palm Coast, but there's all kinds of beaches over there.
Right.
So that's great. I wonder what happened to Philip. He'll be back. Phil hit a button. Yes, Jim McCorn, Phil did hit a button. So for beach hunting, you're using your Legend. Now, are you using any kind of hookah gear? Or are you just pretty much a wader or a dry sander, wet sander?
I want to get hookah gear because I noticed it. So in Canada was interesting. I generally don't beach hunt in Canada and water hunt. I do the vineyards. But I realized I've almost detected out my parents' vineyard. So I decided to water hunt. And I only brought a small scoop, just a little scoop in my luggage. And it really made me realize how important it is to have a long scoop because, I have many long scoops. I have about 11 scoops. But, for travel, I brought this little one and I was diving down to get underneath, to get some of the deeper finds. And I was coming back up, diving down. And I thought, hookah would be amazing. And I had my son diving down because he loves the water. And it was so much fun because I give him the pinpointer and I put my toe around where the find is and he'd go down. And I thought for the future, as he gets older, he's so good at water that both of us could water dive and he'd love it. And I felt my next purchase will be some sort of hookah system. If it's a Nemo, if it's something.
Are you a scuba certified?
I was, but I haven't kept that up for years. So it's not that I will be scuba diving anytime soon.
Well, I tell you what, something you might really like to do is with some of our friends and our guests with Scuba Wise, Mark Littleton, Captain Carl Fismer, and Brad Williamson. You can go out and you can dive with them on the 1715 fleet wrecks and some other wrecks and do some actual treasure hunting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Here's Phil. Let's find out what button he hit. What button did you hit?
No, I didn't hit any button. It just went off all of a sudden. So I rebooted my router and came back up. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, that may have been because you were flickering a little bit.
Yeah. So, man, what a bummer.
Everybody says Phil pushed a button.
No, it was no buttons. So now
Well, they're used to it, you know.
I lost my train of thought. So we were talking a little bit about clubs. So, what was I asking? Oh, you're in Southern California. So how far are you from a club?
How far? It would take me an hour to get to a club meeting. So, yeah.
Yeah, you guys have unique traffic situations. Although Florida is slowly turning into the same problem here.
Because the Californians are moving there.
Yeah, for her as it is for you in Tampa, Phil. If you know, people say, well, how far are you from here? And you say, oh, 25 to 35 minutes. You could be 2 miles, but it'll take you 35 minutes.
Yes.
And that's the way it is out there. When I lived in Chicago, you don't talk about miles, you talk in minutes.
Minutes, yes, for sure. All righty. So let's get back at it then, Jeff. What did I miss?
Nothing really. We were just talking about her diving and beach hunting.
Okay. So which detector are you using in the water the most?
The Legend.
The Legend. Okay. And you're using the waterproof headphones?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you going in the Pacific? It's a little cold, isn't it?
No, I was doing water hunting up in Canada. I was in the Okanagan for a month visiting my parents. And so I was in basically Skaha Lake. There's Okanagan Lake and Skaha, where the Canadians probably will know it who are here from the West Coast. But that's where I was. The water was like a lukewarm bath. It was amazing. You know, I'm not used to that with the Pacific Ocean. So going there and walking into this warm water, I could just stay and water detect all day there. It was great.
Well, the thing with the Pacific Ocean, it's kind of like our Atlantic in that, but it's a lot colder, I think, than the Atlantic, is that it's seldom calm enough where you can get in the water without getting beat to death.
Oh, the rocks. I had to do a recovery recently, a couple months ago, and where they lost it, it just was rocks the size of tennis balls coming at you, and while you're trying to get out there to find the ring, and yeah, it can get very violent. I didn't have that problem in the lakes, right?
Yeah, the lakes are a little calmer. That's why we like to hunt in the Gulf.
Yes.
I'll be down in Tampa, and Phil and I are going to hunt in September, and probably 98% of the time it's going to be glass smooth, and the water temperature will probably be in the low 90s.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And what is your water temperature there in California?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I have no idea.
I thought it was in the 60s. Does that sound right?
I'll do it when I'm, here or there when I'm ready to do it. But do I run to do water detecting? No. I am going to go detect right after this. Because we had the storms. My girlfriend and I are going to go detect the beaches tonight.
That'll be fun. You never know what you might, if you had a lot of high surf, might have taken some sand out. Of course, it would have done the opposite as well.
Yeah. Hey, we did have another question. Jocelyn told me from Sam Truckley. She's asking, have you used, I guess, a gold prospecting detector? in Canada? Have you done any GoPro?
Oh, have I like the Axiom, or I have not used, I've definitely played with the prospecting on the Eagle and on the Legend, but I have not gone and done true prospecting with the prospecting detector.
Oh, okay.
I did write 2 articles on the Axiom where I interviewed I interviewed Steve Moore, and Steve, I would be happy for me to say this, but I sent him the questions. He said, "Don't take this the wrong way. This is not, not anything against you, but I'm kind of shocked at the questions you sent. I wasn't expecting that, because I went right at everything that I could find people were questioning about the Axiom. I'm like, if we're going to do an interview, I like to hit everything that could be hearsay or rumors, and let's clear it up right now, right?" So those are 2 good interviews. I have the Steve Moore Axiom one is a good interview.
Yeah, yes, we've had Steve Moore on several times, and he's very knowledgeable about detecting, and also the Garrett line for sure. So what you got there, Jeff?
Just something else. I got distracted. Carry on.
Yeah,
I have a question here. I noticed because, I have to give him credit. Randy has asked who taught me beach detecting. Randy did, and I will always be grateful for Randy too. I can see the question here. I have a lot of respect for him because he was patient and definitely put me under his wing and taught me. And he, he's very blunt and will make sure you're doing it right.
That's good. It's good to have good mentors for sure. And that's where a lot of folks go to the metal detecting clubs to meet people. And I saw a comment that Ricky T had said. He said, "I've made a lot of new metal detecting friends that I never would have made had I not been involved in our local metal detecting club." And that's a good place to get a mentor. For sure. And I hope Jeff isn't getting harassed by trolls. Sometimes that happens.
No, this is something else.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep going. So what is you've used a lot of detectors. What is your favorite one to use and why?
If I have a lot of detectors, I said, the Legend. The Legend's a great one because of how compact it gets. It's great on the beach. I don't find it chattery on the beach. I'm not worried about water leaking with it because, I've tested it, played with it, and I'm not seeing any issues there. I like the different coil sizes that are available. I like the price. I like the price of the Legend because if it breaks, gets stolen, you're not in pain to replace it.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Now, besides beach hunting, what other type of hunting do you do?
Relic hunting, that's where I really push, and I do a lot of park hunting. So beach, I don't do as much anymore. I do a lot of park and a lot of relic.
And where do you have to go to in your area to find relics? How far do you have to go?
I don't know if I want to say. I do a lot of local historic research. I have a big list of books. I have, my friends laugh, I have PowerPoints where I've lined up photos, historic photos. And I have from very close to my home, 10 minutes away, I have found relics to, I'll drive with my friends and we will go relic hunting an hour away somewhere. So I mean, you wouldn't really think of how much relics you can find in Orange County, but at this point, I've made a kind of a museum in the house.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, when you're in the parks, Joanna, have people come up to you asking you, why are you destroying their parks by digging holes and stuff like that?
Have I had that? Yeah, I recently had in a park about 3 months ago. I was with my girlfriend detecting, and I had a woman who went crazy on us. And when I tried to explain her the good we do, nothing was going to make her happy. And she actually drove away and then came back about an hour later looking for us, but we were behind a wall. We just had enough of people at that point. So I've definitely had that, but I also I tend to, you can see pictures of me on the internet. I tend to wear black when I detect, and I also wear a specific kind of belt that helps kind of ward people away. So I keep a sort of a uniform that makes people wonder if I'm possibly professional or if I am, if I have something to do with law enforcement, or if, I really try to kind of have a uniform that will keep homeless people away, as well as, keep people thinking, well, she must be doing something good. She's because the way she's dressed. So I've had, I've had one, really, that one woman, she was probably the worst. I've had here or there other people, but one time a police came by about 5 months ago, and they said somebody called you, about you, but I'm gonna look the other way and let you keep doing what you're doing. You're doing just fine. I'm like, okay, and there's one park that I detect where the old mayor walks by it every day of one of the towns where I detect. And I didn't know he was a mayor. And he came up to me to talk to me about detecting, and then admitted he cleaned up that entire park of homeless people. So to him, to see me detect there kind of deters more homeless people to be there. So he's fine with it. I don't go to parks where I'm going to be noticed too much. So I don't detect near my house, and that's only for the respect of my son. I don't want him to get picked on one day to say I saw your mom, So I do that purposely. He's going to go to high school soon, so I have to think of that. I tend to find parks that no one even realizes are parks, because that's where I find the relics. They were maybe pieces of grass that were parts of larger parks once, that have been, not maintained well. I tend to find the older stuff in them. So I'm not going to the fancy parks generally.
All right, so Jeff, it looks like you've got the banner going. Are we giving something away?
We are indeed. We are indeed. So, as always, as I said before, a little earlier, we have problems with YouTube as far as the comments on the entry for this show, just not showing up and disappearing. So I've contacted YouTube. I'm trying to work with them on this. As with anything, YouTube is not what you call expedient. So I'm working on it. So what I did is I went back to like the last 3 shows, all the entries there. I put all those entries into my random name picker, and I did pick out the name of the winner and some alternates. Now, as with always the way it is, number one, you have to be a member of Treasure Talk Facebook or Treasure Talk YouTube. If you're not a member, you're not eligible to win. But it's very easy to do. Just go to Facebook, apply for membership, answer the membership questions. We'll get you approved on YouTube. You just hit the subscribe button, press the button for notifications, and then send an email to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com telling me that you're a new subscriber, and I'll check to make sure that it's good. And then you enter, and we're good. You put down the phrase that I tell you to enter. And you have to be tuned in to win, because once I call the name, you'll have 3 minutes to text me with your name and that you are here. And as you can see, my phone number is on the screen below. So you have 3 minutes. And what the phrase that you had to put in for this show was, let's focus on focus speed. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what you need to do all the time. And please, if you are indeed watching, do us a favor, hit that like button. It helps us when the YouTube algorithms, and maybe they'll take notice and get the comments things fixed. Who knows? But excuse me, at any rate, we have the winner for tonight and some alternates. And what we're giving away from CKG Scoops is a wonderful hand digger and a sheath. So get your fingers ready, because you'll have 3 minutes to text me with your name and that you are here at my number right down there. So Maria Reese, if you are watching tonight, you got 3 minutes to text me. Too much yakking for me. I'm doing too much yakking, getting dry throat, Phil.
Here you go, Jeff. Take a drink. There we go. So I guess you got to hit the like button. Is that the thumbs up button, Jeff?
Yes.
Yes.
The like button. Yep.
Yeah. So folks, hit that like button so everybody knows they like us for sure.
That's right. And don't hit the one with the thumbs down because, just don't do it.
All right. So let's get back to some questions. So, what is your oldest silver coin that you found there in California?
In California, not that old, not comparing to. I don't even know. I'm thinking. I know oldest Canadian coin. I know oldest.
Okay, what's your oldest Canadian silver?
My oldest Canadian silver is 1910. I do have a gold coin from 1912, Austrian, I found in California. I have, I'm trying to think. I'm not good with the dates and the dates of the coins. I have some of my favorites, but I've never found an Indian head. There's a few things I would love to find: a silver thimble, an Indian head. What else is on my bucket list? Those are my two big ones. I think, my girlfriend laughs because anytime I find gold, I'm just so casual about it. She goes, Joanna, you'd be screaming and jumping up and you find gold and you're like, hey, check this out. If I'd get an Indian head or a thimble, I'd be jumping up and screaming. That I will the day I do.
I think you're more of a history maven than you are, precious metal maven.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's when you get excited with relics.
Where did you find the gold coin?
On the outskirts of a park.
Okay.
Yeah, outskirts of a park where it was definitely like a stagecoach road before.
Okay. Yeah, and Ricky T's asking the same thing.
Let me see. I might have a picture of it that I can maybe put on the on my cell phone.
He's
and then
asking for some details on the gold coin find.
Yeah.
That's one that's on my bucket list for 40 years as a gold coin. I found plenty of old silver coins, everything you can imagine. But no,
it was with the Tesoro that I found it.
Oh, cool.
Well, we do have our winner.
Let's see.
Awesome.
And they already know to do the email because they are a loyal fan and watcher of Treasure Talk. So we're going.
Can you see?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, that's nice.
What was the date on it?
This was 19. Let's see. This is so bad. I should know all these things. It was 1909.
That's
awesome. Very cool.
So it was an old stagecoach landing, I guess.
Yeah. And so I've also, funny enough, talking stagecoach, I've also researched and found stagecoach stops that are not well documented. So that has been a lot of fun as well. I found, right here in Ed Center of Orange County, there's an old stagecoach stop, a horse exchange, and also a very, one of the first railways where you would stop and get on and off the railway. And it's not even documented, but, we found the documentations, but it's no historical site, nothing, nobody would know driving by that that's there. So I've had a lot of fun kind of figuring out certain areas of where there's history, where it's not really well known between the locals.
Well, a lot of people might say, a 1909, well, that's not that old, but you having done the history in that area, there were still obviously stagecoaches running in the early 1900s in that area.
Yeah, so there was a lot of ranches here. This was all full ranch area. And between San Diego and LA, there was a stagecoach stop right in the middle of Orange County, one of the only ones. And it was a horse exchange. That was till the 20s even going on. So
yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. They think, of California being this big Hollywood type situation with all the major cities, San Francisco, San Diego, LA, but there's still a lot of rural yet. And back then there was a lot more rural areas, wasn't it?
Right, right. And a lot of people don't realize, even though we have all this land developed here, there's so much. I mean, it's really suburbs of, of tract homes. Between those tract homes are little canyons that no one would realize, that we have found, old cattle remnants, and we have found cattle corrals and different things that literally people drive by don't know. I mean, I know the exact area where they used to load all the cattle onto the train. It's sitting there rotting away, and no one would realize how historic that spot was. That's where all these ranchers here in Orange County would put their cattle on the railway when they needed to. And so I'm having fun digging into this stuff and finding it.
Yeah,
Well, back at that time, pardon me, Phil, weren't they still, the gold coins were like the currency of the day then, pretty much, weren't they?
Back then, yeah. I do have, for your readers, if you want, I do have an article where I started to touch on this, how to find history where people argue there isn't no history. I can't remember the exact name of the title here on the spot, but if you look up, I believe it's, how to find history when there's, there's history in a spot. And, I discuss different ways I do it, from survey markers to, how I go about it in there. And that starts touching on how to detect, to find relics in cities that are modern, and that a lot of people go, oh, I live in this city, it's modern, and not, it got developed in the 70s. There's nothing old here. There's definitely something old there.
Well, I mean, it could have been dropped, in the mid 1800s, because what was the gold rush, dates on the gold rush in California gold rush?
God, I mean, I could look it up, but I don't know it off the top.
I don't really know myself, but there could be stuff dropped then.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say, Philip?
yeah, I would say, a lot of the areas that have been developed, like in my area, something was there before, whether it was citrus or farming,
Mm-hmm.
and then it turned into development in the 20s. So something was there, and that's what you're finding. You're finding stuff that was there before major development in their area.
Right. And that's true. And I'll maybe find a tiny little park that nobody realized was maybe a field once.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like Rob Payne has put up, or Jeff put his comment up. Focus Speed is a great website and resource.
Thank you, Rob. That means a lot. I try, I'm trying harder and harder and kind of pushing myself. How can I improve it? What can I do?
Well, we've always, and it shows with the quality of your product that you put out. It's very, very professionally done. And you said earlier that, writing is very hard for you, but you would never know it the way the content flows.
Thank you.
It's very, very, very well done.
Yes,
that means a lot.
And we are just pleased as we can be that you chose to join us tonight.
Oh, I am touched as well.
Yes, for sure. And it looks like we're getting to that time, isn't it, Jeff?
Oh yeah, it's. I tell you what, it flies by, just flies by.
It does.
So, Joanna, why don't you give us, your focusspeed.com is where you go, and what's upcoming, something they can look forward to.
What can we do? I have a once a month newsletter. You can join also our Facebook group. I try to keep that very educational. What am I doing? I'm writing an article, like I said at the beginning, and an opinion piece about archaeology and detectorists. I will be doing some other interviews that are lined up. I will be interviewing one of the top recovery specialists who's done over 2,000 recoveries. I'll be interviewing a deep sea treasure hunter and a recovery specialist as well. I'm just thinking of what's on the top of my list to finish, as well as Jeff gave me, a few other people I should be interviewing, like Phil even. And, I will keep on doing it. I will try really hard to come up with the questions and have quality questions for the people I interview. In each article, I try to have something you can learn from it. And I try to touch on all different detectors. And if I've, if I've written about the detector, I've probably had one in my hand to see, I can come up with quality questions. So, and anybody can contact me, give me advice, give me feedback of what questions I should be asking or who I should be interviewing.
And make it constructive, not rude.
Right. I keep on wanting to improve this. This is a community, and it's a community effort. It's not just me, but there's all of us working together. Friends, detectorists, and others.
Very, very good. I will be sending you a list of a number of people that I think would be interesting. And then, of course, you choose. And one thing you're doing is really, really smart is you've got stuff lined up for the future because you never know when things are going to happen. And so your product continues to flow.
Right. True.
Well, I wanted to say thank you, Joanna, for being on here and helping us with it because we love excellent guests, and you are that. And thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Jocelyn, for helping, and thank you to the many members we have on here watching us on this live stream.
Yes, indeed. We want to thank everybody. Thanks, Jocelyn. You did good. And thanks for letting Phil get a new shirt. See, styling and profiling.
Wait till you see next week's show.
I can hardly wait. I'm going to have to go shopping, I think. I don't know.
You're going to try to show me up, huh?
Yeah, yeah, you're shaming me. You're shaming me. You're killing me, Smalls. So, Joanna, thank you so much. It's just been our extreme pleasure to chat with you. And people out there, if you haven't, you need to go to focusspeed.com. You need to sign up for the newsletter. You need to read the content because, trust me, you'll find it fascinating and you will learn something. And that's what we're all about. So, everybody, thank you so much for watching us tonight. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Phil, my brother, I'll see you in a brand new outfit next week. Make sure you get shoes to match.
All right, my friend.
And we'll see everybody then. Happy hunting, everybody. Dig deeper, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.